Hello again. Well, after quite a few trips to Field's End, I thought in the interests of doing something different, I'd try another venue. So in this video, you will see me at Rookery Waters, which is a commercial, which is, as the crow flies, probably not much further away than Field's End. But unfortunately you have to take a very circuitous road route to get there, so it does take a bit longer. I've fished at Rookery Waters before, 2 or 3 times, and on each occasion I fished what they call the Magpie Lake. There are 5 lakes there, and the Magpie is one of their match lakes, and for me it's quite an intimate little lake, and it's got quite a lot of features. So that's the lake I normally choose. But I checked their match schedule, and they had matches there on Saturday and Sunday, so I was a little bit concerned whether perhaps there'd been a lot of feed poured in over the weekend. And also, as I mentioned in the video, I'd had a discussion with a guy at Field's End who had fished what they call the Rook Lake there. You will notice all the lakes are named after birds, and there are rooks on site actually in the trees. Anyway, he had fished the Rook Lake and said he had caught some nice roach there. Now, the Rook Lake is advertised as a lake for pleasure angling for families, so I sort of thought it would be somewhere you could catch roach, perch, things like that, although there are, as normal these days, carp in the Rook Lake. As it turned out, it was tough fishing. I adopted my normal approach, which was fishing the margins, but it's a very busy lake. There were a lot of people there. It was up to capacity by the time I left, and there was a lot of talking. There was a lot of sort of banter going on around the lake. There were actually discussions being held across the lake between guys. And for me, that's not really what I go fishing for. I enjoy peace and quiet. I enjoy being at one with nature, and if the fish come along, that's fine. So all in all, it was a pretty disappointing day. I didn't get a bite, but you may want to just watch the video to have a look what the venue looks like. Other people were catching, although not much happened until the afternoon. A guy to the left of me brought in a nice carp of 12.5 pound. He was fishing a pellet waggler, casting out and putting loose feed pellets in. And I guess probably it's a lake where many other people use pellets and things like that rather than natural baits. I didn't have any maggots, so I was on corn. That was my smallest bait. It might have been that the water's still cold. It's probably just because the way I was fishing it isn't really the way to fish that lake. But anyway, see what you think. Hope you enjoy it. I've got to think about where I go next now, because I'm not too sure I'm going to return to Rookery Waters. So anyway, let's get started. As you can see, it's a classic commercial with all the pegs evenly spaced out. But there are some nice reed banks in between them, so we'll see how we do. I must admit, most people seem to be feeder fishing here, so I'm not sure I'm going to get on with the float, but we just have to wait and see. I spoke to a chap at Field's End, not the last time I went there, but the time before, and he'd said he'd fished in this lake, which is called the Rook Lake, and he had caught some nice roach. So I'm living in hopes that we can forego the carp today and perhaps catch ourselves some roach. But I've never fished this lake before, so I have no idea how it fishes. I don't know if margins work. That's what I'm fishing, obviously. But I don't know if most people around here seem to be fishing further out, so I've got no idea whether the margin's going to work. And it's really just suck and see, I think. Although we've been having warm days, the nights have been quite cold, so I guess the water temperature is still quite cold. And it may well be I need to work quite hard to get the fish feeding here. I introduced some corn and some hemp before I started setting up everything, so that was about a quarter of an hour ago. But as I say, I don't know how this lake fishes. It may well be that it's the sort of lake where the feeder reigns supreme rather than the float. But there's quite a few guys with poles here, so I don't know really. Very busy today. The sun has brought everybody out, and the shop was open as well, which made a change. In the past it was a matter of pulling up outside the shop and the guy came out to take your money. But today everything's sort of back to normal, although there is a restriction on the number of people in the shop. The other advantage for me here today, which is not something I would normally even think about, but I'm still limping a bit with this problem, and I can park my car literally next to where I'm fishing, so today that's a bit of a bonus. Although I did forget to dip my net, so having parked the car I had to walk back to the car park and dip my landing net, so I sort of ruined the advantage really. But it means I won't have to walk anywhere on the way home. I just have to walk up the few steps to the bank, top of the bank, and get in the car. There's certainly no immediate action, is there? We really don't know what this is like, this place. It's as I say, it may be it's not a margin fishery at all. It may be everything happens out in the middle. It looks like a little dip on the float. Perhaps I should have started off with a single grain of corn in these conditions rather than two. Perhaps I was being a bit sort of over optimistic that whatever's down there will take two grains of corn. But well, there's definitely a movement on the float, so something's swimming around down there. I think I dropped to a single piece of corn. Perhaps I was being a bit... Oops. Oh, I've got to remember I've got trees above me. Got used to that. Oh, there is a single piece of corn, so obviously that little brush on the float was probably something helping itself to one of those pieces of corn. Fingers and thumbs today. Let's try and get that hook a bit more buried in that corn. Right, let's see if we attempt something. Yeah, I much prefer sitting watching this float than sticking a ledger out. You can probably hear all the natter in the background. As I say, it's advertised as a pleasure fishery, so must expect a little bit of banter going on around the lake. as I say, this might be entirely the wrong way of fishing this water, but we don't know until we try. I must admit, I'm looking forward to getting back on rivers. I've been researching some of the clubs in the area, and I may sort of go out and do a bit of exploring during the close season, see what some of the stretches look like. I also tried Googling for lakes around me, but the only things that come up are these commercials. I did find a very interesting site where there were 3 lakes, and the lakes used to be a syndicate, but they're now letting them out on day tickets, and you had to literally choose a pitch number and book it for a certain day, and you had to fish that pitch. You couldn't wander around or anything. And obviously, like most of these places, all the publicity was full of pictures of people with massive carp, which I'm not particularly interested in. But there was one of the lakes which was smaller, and they advertised it as a mixed fishery with tench, roach, perch and all that sort of stuff, and I thought that may be worth a try. But then I went and read the rules for fishing the lakes, and crikey, minimum 42-inch landing net. I mean to say, if you're going there with no intention of catching monster carp, why do you need a 42-inch landing net? And if you're tackled up to catch roach, you're not going to land a massive carp. So and also they insisted on unhooking maps with sort of ridge sides, you know, these fancy carp anglers, and unhooking maps. And the way I travel very light. Well, it was just a no-no really. So after getting all excited that it might be a nice little place to fish, in the end I was disappointed. So there we go. So we're on commercials, I'm afraid, or normal commercials like this. That seems to be the only option in this area. Anyway, we're not going to get a fish straight away, so I'll perhaps flick the video off and come back to you later if things warm up a bit. Well, I've been fishing about 3/4 of an hour. No more touches or anything on corn. I've just changed to some smelly cheese paste, hoping that might attract something. More people have turned up. It's really quite busy. But I haven't actually seen anybody catch anything yet, so I don't think I'm alone. Anyway, the highlight so far of the morning, which I thought I'd just let you know, is a young lady just turned up and asked me if I wanted to order breakfast, which was unexpected. Anyway, I've ordered a coffee and a sausage sandwich with brown sauce. So even if I don't catch any fish, I can enjoy an unexpected breakfast. So, yeah. Very, very quiet. You can probably just see her on the other side there. She's collecting orders on the other side. Yeah. Service with a smile. Well, no bites, no fish. But I've got my coffee, and I've also got my sausage sandwich. If I can find my way into it, of course. Oh, there we go. Yeah, very, very slow. Well, not even slow really, it's non-existent. It's a bit of a struggle getting in here, but still, be worth it in the end. Saw one fish come out on the other side. Looks good. Most people who are float fishing seem to be on the pole. I've got a guy to the right of me on the pole, but he hasn't caught anything, so I don't think I'm alone at the moment. I've tried cheese paste. I tried luncheon meat, a very small piece of luncheon meat. So I'm not actually convinced it's a bait issue. I just think they're perhaps not feeding. So I've gone back to one piece of corn. Well, I've been fishing now for just under 2 hours. I still haven't had anything you would call a positive bite. I think I've spotted 3 fish being caught around the lake. Silverfish, nothing big. I'm not sure I chose the right lake today, but I'm in good company because it's almost full really. There's a section at the end which is gated off, and I think that's for people with caravans. So although there's a road all the way round, or a gravel sort of road all the way around. As you can see over there, there's someone with a caravan just opening the gate. That end section is obviously reserved, so the part that's not within the caravan section, I think almost every pitch, well not all, but bar just a handful of pitches are full. So there really isn't much happening, but the guy to my right, he's obviously here with his dad, and he said that often these fish come on in the afternoon here rather than the morning, so I'll keep my fingers crossed. Well, it's just coming up to midday, still no bites. I did see the reeds knocking a little bit down on the left, but very, very gently. It could have been anything. It could have been a small perch or something. Probably not carp. But a guy's turned up to the left of me and is ground baiting down the margin. So, assuming he's been here before, it would seem that margin fishing isn't completely a no-no. Well, it's just coming up to 12:30. Nothing's changed as far as I'm concerned. Still haven't had what I could call a bite. But we're pleased to learn that Canada geese have now arrived on this lake. I think they must follow me around. Still not seeing many fish come out, to be honest, but there is one guy sort of almost opposite me over by a grey car there who's pulling out silverfish literally every cast. There go the geese. Yeah, he's pulling out a fish every cast. He seems to be using a short pole, a whip, and he's throwing in some loose feed every cast. But just while we've been watching, he's pulled out 2. It's literally every cast, so he knows the secret. But as far as everyone else is concerned, I haven't seen anything at all. Certainly people around me on this bank haven't caught anything. Well, I just had a walk down and looked in the Magpie Lake, which was one I was thinking of fishing in. It looks like brown soup. It really does look mucky. So I don't know what they've been doing in there. Anyway, I'm making my way back. It looks like the guy next to me, who only arrived about an hour and a half ago, is into a carp, but he's firing out something into the centre and casting a float out there, but he wasn't fishing deep, he was fishing under the surface, so but he's obviously into a carp, so that's obviously a technique that works here. Looks like things are happening. Oops, gotta be careful going down here. Yeah, you can see his rod. He's into a decent fish there. I think, as I say, he's caught it just below the surface on pellets. It's now just coming up to 1 o'clock, so I've got a couple of hours left, but I think we may be shaping up for a blank. At the moment, I'm not getting anything, not getting a touch, not even an indication of interest. So unless things change in the next couple of hours, I think it will be a nice day out in the sunshine. But that'll be about it, I think. Well, it's only 2 o'clock, but I think I'm going to call it a day. Whether it's where I'm fishing, whether it's the bait I'm using, perhaps you need much smaller baits like a maggot or something in these conditions. Certainly the guy opposite, who I mentioned earlier, has been pulling out silvers non-stop all through the day on what looks like a short pole. He literally casts in and pulls out, casts in and pulls out. So whether he's on much lighter tackle, as I say, different bait, but I haven't had even an inkling of a bite. The smallest bait I've got really with me is sweet corn, and I've put on the smallest piece that I could find in the pot, but all to no avail. So really I think I'm flogging a dead horse here, and as I said earlier, I'm not sort of really enjoying it. There's too much noise, too much activity. It's not really peaceful. There's actually quite a lot of traffic coming in and out of the yard. I'm a bit funny like that. I like getting away from it all when I go fishing. I don't really want to be in a crowd and listen to everybody else's business as they're talking to each other. So anyway, so that's it. That's it for today. Bit of a disappointment, as I say. A pure blank, no bites, no fish. But if you've stuck with it this far, thank you for watching, and I'll have to do a bit of research. I don't want to keep going back to Field's End because it gets a bit boring, but I'm really finding it quite challenging to find something a bit more natural, something a bit less commercial in this location, this area. Anyway, I'll keep trying, and as I say, sorry it's been a bit a disappointment today, but as usual, thank you for watching, and as usual again, bye for now.